GP said there, you've come to a night of parenting course when some of you, not there yet. But I'll tell you what, when I look back as a parent now, I reckon being equipped before that time would help my the flow into it. And the stuff you learn, you kind of think, you can take on board before you even get there, and you can start seeing things, and it can prepare you for the partner you eventually will marry and have kids with, which is exciting, and it can equip you in advance. Is actually really cool to do that. So please switch on. Obviously, Alana's not here. You guys all know of her health. She thought she was going to get here. Sorry, but she can't do it at the last minute. It's hard, but that's where we're at right now. She had a sleep. She had a good morning. She's feeling good. But but we're actually really good. I know I'm a bit emotional as I say that, but every time I talk about her, it does throw me a bit. Actually, we'll start with the video, I'll get myself together. Sure, thanks, Sneaks.
Boys, this room is a mess. I want you to clean it up right now.
Okay.
Boys, did you hear me? I want this room cleaned up right now. Now get to it.
Oh, okay. Come on. Oh, no.
Boys, how many times do I have to tell you? You leave me no alternative. Do you want me to take away the privilege of all your video games? I will, Don't test me. Get it cleaned up. Okay, that's it. I can't believe what I'm seeing here. I guess I'm gonna have to take away the privilege of video games and all electronics for that matter. Here it goes. Once again, Mom doing all the cleaning up. What are these games you're watching anyway? They seem to mesmerize you. It worries me. They can't be healthy for you. Half the time I feel like I'm just talking to myself and you don't even hear me. I'm not your mate, I'm your mother. Maybe
So right there, you've got a situation that, let's face it, as parents, we probably hit that sort of thing quite a bit. But jumping on the back of this series that Flourishing Relationships that Jackson and Berta have been doing, which has been awesome. Parenting is just really about relationship with your partner and your kids, and it's about that communication that has to be right in the fore the whole time. And I know when I come into parenting, it kind of like I've always loved kids right from a young kid. I always loved just hanging out with my little cousins, and I always never thought that one day I'd be a parent of 4 kids. And tell you what is the coolest thing that I have ever achieved in life, without a doubt. It's exciting seeing the kids grow and become awesome people. But parenting is a challenge, and I know that there's tools out there that Alana personally, she started reading these books right from when the kids were little babies, and she got me on board. And that's the first principle right there, is just being on board with your wifey on the same page, because you can go off on different tangents, and that can be a real troublesome thing if parents are on different wavelengths. Kids pick up on that, and they can go for one idea here and another idea, and it can really throw momentum of growing your kids. So that's my first principle right there. But I'm jamming a lot into in one evening here, so I'll try and do my best, and hopefully you guys can take away something. As Christians, we're children of God, and He gives us guidelines and principles to walk through, and they're awesome. And He doesn't do it to be mean. He sees the big picture. He does it to make our lives awesome, and that can be seen as mean. It can be seen as it's awesome. Depends how you view it. But I know people do view that as like, oh, it's such a limiting life, but being Christian is like, actually, it's totally the opposite. All those principles, really, the commandments and everything, make your life amazing. And as parents, it's exactly that. And there's some really cool tools out there that through these courses that I know has helped us immensely, just doing the little things and just guiding the kids through. When kids come, they're this pure, when they're born, they're this pure, beautiful, innocent thing. And I see that it's amazing. In God's heart, He loves kids. He loves them so much because of that innocence. And you think of that picture of that little baby that's born yet, that looks up at you. It's an amazing thing. And it's this pure, innocent thing, and God loves children. And we're in so much of a world today where as kids grow, people, I don't want to say rob their innocence because that could be quite a harsh sort of term, but they want to, that innocence can be taken fast by just the world being thrown at them so quick. But as parents, that's our job, to guard that innocence for as long as we can. Not keeping them naive and silly, but holding on to that pure and innocent young being. There's something really beautiful about that. And you think about like a cell phone these days. You give it's like a bomb in that whole picture of a innocent, pure kid, and where it's just being thrown the world at them, with their mind literally can't take on board that stuff. But that's some of the world's mentality. It's like, I want to give my kid experiences. I want to give them as much as I can. Kids a cell phone, but their mind literally isn't ready for it. It's ba-boom, ba-boom. It's almost overloading. Yeah, so that childlike faith is something really amazing too. Another thing why God loves children, they just have this pure and real clean connection. Like they believe and they know what they know, and they haven't been tainted by negatives and that sort of thing. And that's how God wants us to be. I love seeing that in people, and you see it in adults too. They have this real, they know what they know about God, and there's nothing that really rocks them. They've just got this real, yes, they know what they know. And it's something I see in adults, and it's something that God asks us to have, a childlike faith. So you can actually learn from children, That's what during this whole journey of parenting, I actually learned from my kids, that innocence, like, I need to have that too, So it's actually a bit of a cool cycle to see that and want to get back to that. I'm just going to run through some of the notes of the weeks. There's actually a 6-week thing that me and Lana, through the course, we put it in a 6-week bracket. But I'm just going to highlight some of the points, trying to pack as much as I can in these 20-odd minutes anyway. And the first week, we did a thing called couch time. And what that would be is when, the kids, when they come to the world, their world and their security is having it mum and dad together and seeing that together. So encouraging parents to have that couch time. So in other words, say when I get home from work, kid will want to come up and cuddle you, and that's all cool. But they want them seeing us together and say, okay, cool, kids, we'll play with you soon, we'll catch up with you soon. Me and mum and are going to have some time together. And kids seeing that, it's not pushing kids aside, can give them a sense of security that they, mum and dad, prioritise each other before the kid. It puts something really strong to the kid. They see a strong surrounding in their life. That's a principle that I've really loved, and we did a lot. We took it on. They labelled it couch time, where kids come second, our connections first. And the kids, I could see in Kanika's eyes as a young age that she liked it too. She'd sit there and watch us, even from a little grommet like this, she'd look at us, and then she'd know once our conversation and time was over, she'd come to us. But it gave her a sense of security. So that's a really cool principle that I loved, and I think it's valuable. And I think it gets lost today, because I think what happens, people come in, kids, they forget about that picture, and that can get lost a bit. Another principle is love languages, and these guys touched on it last week. And even with kids, seeing, I know it was really helpful for me connecting what our kids' love languages are. And you can pick up on it at quite a young age. And I remember actually when we were doing the course, and GP spoke about when his kids were young, and it stuck with me. He was going out on the farm, and Esther was jump on the bike with him. I forget the story exactly, And then Sasha said, "Oh, come too." So Esther was like, "Oh," and kind of like, and at the moment, GP was kind of like, "Oh, that's not right, just going for a ride." But what Esther was wanting, she was a one-on-one girl, so that was really valuable to her. So, but it took him a while to click to that. But just knowing that principle, it can. So that understanding, Esther might have been like, "Oh, why is Esther like not happy about that?" But it was just a love language thing. So you can pick up on these things as a little kid, and you can actually. It's really cool. It took me a while to pick up, say, what Kanikas and Sailors and Teela it was, but they've all got little different and unique ways of, my connection with them, which is actually cool though when you find out what it is. Which leads on to another point, was called open windows, and what that is about finding those moments when you can actually connect with the kids, and it could be through their love language. But I remember when Kanika was a little grommet and she was playing with her dolls, so I'd get down there and play with her dolls, with her, because I know that was her world, that was her, and she was like, 2 or 3, and I'd just get down there and play with her dolls, and we'd do her thing. But you could see her face like, heck, Dad's playing dolls with her, what the heck? But she kind of loved it. I got on her level. But there's something real special about that. And I've done with all the girls. I've married all the girls, and that's really cool. So, we have a little mock marriage, and that's really cool too. So I remember Teela was walking down the aisle, and I'd stare at her, and I think Joe was the page girl holding up the dress, and he's literally crawling. But it's funny, yes, but the girls love it, But you're getting on their level and having a bit of fun, and it's a special thing that you can do. I'm not saying you have to, dress in pink and run around being an egg, but there's something about just understanding, just getting on their level is something really powerful. They, as little kids, little girls or boys, they love that. It's easy for me to connect with Joey, as a boy, kick a ball around or play a bit of Lego. But with the girls, I had to okay. And it's actually a lot of fun. And just watching their face light up, you can find these little moments that as they get older, they can open up to you, and it's through connecting with them. So it's a really special tool that I've learnt. And I've also stuffed it up too. I've tried to connect with them, find out what's troubling them or something like that, when I haven't made that effort to open those, connection. And it's, I've made the mistakes too. So it's just, you can find these nice little channels of connection through those sort of things. So 2 tools there, love language and just what we call open windows, finding those moments. Which leads on to another thing, just based around manners, with interrupt rule. Interrupt rule was another powerful tool that we learned. And it's just really empowering the kids to respect adults. Say if I'm talking to Janet and her kid comes up and our kid wants to, "Hey, Mum and Dad, can I go to so-and-so's house?" That they know not to butt in our conversation, but they just put their hand on my hip or hand on the shoulder. It's a real simple little tool, but what that says to the kid, respect the adults' conversation, and when I'm ready, I know they're there, and I'll talk to them. "Yep, what's up?" And it's another little simple tool, but it's really what it says to the kid. I value that connection of, adult conversation. I'm not just going to jump in. And it also says to the kid, I'm not the first priority. I shouldn't be rude and push in. Another little thing that sits in a kid's heart and head, and that's really important. Which leads on to the other one, manners and respect. I think this is something I think I see in a lot of cultures where they have this respect for elders, and they really put grandparents in quite a high regard, and I think it's really cool. I don't think it's as strong in the Pākehā culture, to be honest, and I think it's a really awesome thing to get the kids to understand and learn to talk to older people. I love when I see my kids just sit with my mum and dad and just talk, and just talk about, "Hey, Granddad, what are you up to? What have you been up to?" And with my nana, my mum and dad, their nana and papa, and just be real comfortable in conversation and hold conversation and think, wow, and I think for a kid, if they can do that as a young age and not just be, with their peers only, I think it empowers them another level to see the world in a different way, have respect for old wise words, it's a really rad thing. Another thing I found really, the way you word things to a kid. Like, I was just thinking at church today, one of the kids were, a few of the kids, they were just throwing a basketball on the hoop, no problem, but there were people right there, like, you know, from hoop there, people there. I'm holding a baby. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. So I was like, hey, guys, just look around you. You know, there's people there and there's a baby there. If that ball hit them, you know, they're like, oh, yeah. They ran outside. But so I could have said, guys, stop that, and go outside. And they were, oh, okay. But it just give them just this change of words. Hey, guys, just look around you. So they're like, oh, yeah. So they take on board a bit of responsibility. So it's just a flick of words. It's the simplest thing. But as parents, in the moment of there's so much going on, stop that. Go over there. And they're really, really easy directional words, which makes sense. However, if you just change that tone and put a bit of ownership of them looking around, you're equipping them on a whole nother level. I think it's a really powerful and a simple thing, and I'm constantly learning about that too. But it just gives them, makes them think about their actions another level and all they do. Another thing, greeting and compliments. It's again, just from that initial, if kids can be equipped to greet adults and say, you know, hello, how are you? The simplest thing, but how cool is it when you see a little kid do that? Hello, how are you today? Well, they kind of can throw you, but a little kid saying that, but oh, how cool is that? You know, I think there's something really powerful, equipping your kids to be able to connect and say hello and talk to people and be comfortable with that. And I know that's been I love when people come up to us and said, oh, you're a kid, man, you're so comfortable talking to us. And it's like, oh, never thought of that. But yeah, because so many people aren't. And I'm not saying I've got this down perfectly, but I know when we have got that right with the kids, how much is empowered not only the kid, but people's perceptions of the kids too. And that has this ongoing flow. I know as a teacher, when I see kids all the time and I bump into kids, hey, how are you? And they're like, eh, you know, they just, whatever, or they'll stop and engage and talk to you. What connection I have with that kid, the rapport I have with that kid, just from that eye contact and them making, and they'll say back to me, how are you? What are you doing on the weekend or whatever, just general conversation. But they're comfortable doing that. Straight away, my connection with that kid is really cool. And when I teach him, or them or her, whatever, it flows so much stronger. But if they come in, it's battle straight off the bat. And in parenting, you can equip our kids to do that. Their flow in life and connection with people is strong. Again, a simple tool, but it's really powerful. Yeah, so actually I might just play the second video, Kanika. Hoping this is recording. Guessing that's what we're looking at. Yes, it doesn't really hard to know, so let's play the game on.
Sutherland, what would you like for breakfast? Toast, cereal, a bagel, oatmeal?
I want eggs today.
Scrambled eggs? Fried eggs? Eggs with cheese?
Poke chicks, please.
Oh, you're going, no?
I thought I laid out something else for you to wear today.
I thought this one looked better.
Probably.
Sutherland, I need you to hurry because I thought we would go to the library this morning.
I think the park is the better choice.
The park?
It's about open.
Hang on a sec, just one moment.
Yeah, choices. And was that kid being a brat? Not really, but it's enabling the kid to think like that too. I remember one of the biggest things that I just stuck in my mind for years with doing the parenting courses was this picture of a funnel. You think of a funnel. Do you want to put a picture of the funnel? Yeah, there we go. So there we go. A bit blurry on the side, that doesn't matter. But you see what a funnel is. And what that picture of, you keep the restrictions and choices, I guess. But if you think of the word choices, you think they keep their choices limited when they're young. It's not going to, if their choices were rices and cornflakes for breakfast, that's what those were the choices, and they say something else, okay, no breakfast for you, and those are the choices. They'd be like, okay, and they would actually be fine, you know. But what we tend to do is we want the best for our kids, and we think it's the best for our kids, and we go, okay, we'll give you this and this and this, and we're constantly letting the kid start to rule the roost. But if we keep it a tight restriction and let them understand the importance of they don't rule the roost, you know, they abide by our words and our what we offer in them. As they get a really grasp of that, we can actually let those open up those options for them as they get older, and they can understand that. And it's really actually, again, empowering the kid long term. A lot of the time people have flipped that funnel around around the other way, and the kid is literally get out of control with so many options. They do what they want, when they want, how they want, and the parents trying to restrain them, trying to pull them in, because they started with that funnel upside down. And that's almost how, I wouldn't say the world, that's a bit of a harsh way of saying it, but there's so much of a misunderstanding about that. Like I said earlier, about you think about a cell phone and the picture of something of a kid of this young age, they're not equipped to take on so much. But we have this thought, I want the best for my kids, so I'm going to give these opportunities, show my kid all these things, but you're actually doing damage, you're actually giving them too much. You keep them in this nice, tight, more restricted boundaries is actually and strengthening in our kids in a long-term and better way. And when it comes to parenting, it's easier to guide them and walk through that journey. So that picture really stuck to me, and it can come across you're being mean and harsh on the kid. But I remember some of the limitations I had as when I was a kid. What I could watch, what I couldn't watch, where I could go, what my parents wouldn't let me go to certain people's houses because they didn't think, because they had quite a different moral sort of compass, I guess, and they didn't want me, and I was quite disappointed at that, but I can see what they were doing. And I adjusted to it, and it helped me a lot. I look back and go, yeah, they were right. And it didn't take me long to see what they were doing. They were just protecting me and loving me. And this is where another point where being their friend, are we their friend or we're their parent? I think we need to get that in the right order. We're their parent. We love them so much. We want for the best for them. As they flourish into that, we become their friend. And it's really simple order that people get the wrong way around. So that really stuck to me, and you can see, that's just a basic, blurry, but age sort of guidance sort of thing. Yeah, and a lot of those points that I've mentioned, I think we can teach them, but I think if it can be better caught than taught. And I think of the Petersons actually. I see Paul bring the Petersons along to church, set up at church. And they just get stuck in. It's actually so rad. I love turning up to church on Sunday morning and just seeing these dudes all got their areas, setting out chairs. Paul's doing his areas, but he's got his kids into the zone of doing that because he's led by example. It's like, let's do it together as a family. But he's just doing it by example, so they're catching something, and you can see them. They do it with a joy in their heart. They don't moan about it, and it's cool. And what they do. Not only is it teaching them a cool moral, but it sets a whole platform from when we turn up to practice, this whole family getting stuck in. It just puts a stoke around the whole area, like a joy is set around the whole music areas we set up. Like, cool, we all get into the environment as well. So the kids are catching it through Paul setting that platform, and Alan with his kids, Jason and all these guys. They set up a platform. These kids catch, that servant spirit through their actions. So it's like I say, we can say all these instructions and orders, but if we're not walking it ourselves, it falls short. So I see that in Paul, that he's walking it and the kids are catching it. It's really cool. It's a powerful circle. Hey Jeep, do you want to add anything to that funnel side of things you mentioned earlier? That's right. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just going off the cuff a little bit because I'm going over Lana's notes. So those are the main things. And if any of those sort of points sort of you want to know more about them, there's heaps of resources we've got at the church, or come speak to me, Alana, or Roger and Cheryl have got a lot of resource on this sort of thing as well. But yeah, I should go back to what I said right in the start, and I think walking in God's line of rules and that sort of thing, I keep getting taken back to that and how powerful that is. And I keep getting taken back to that a lot lately when I see all these new people coming to church, and I think about what they think about Christianity is, and it really is an awesome journey, and of what some people in the world says restricted, but man, we live the most full lives that are full of joy and everything, and in our parenting we should be that same thing. We've got these awesome guidance tools. As it says here in Proverbs, it'll end on this note actually. In Proverbs it says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." And that goes back to like that example I said with Paul, and I see Paul and Laurelie with their kids, and just living by example. I don't know, when I see my kids, it inspires me to be a better person, and it's this, and I know I've made heaps of mistakes, and along the way I'm definitely not perfect, but it is a really, I get very inspired by them, and I get inspired by other people. That's all I've really got so far, but thank you guys.